Heading on now to much more of the sandy area. It's a bit of a trek from Watchet, but it's worth it in the summer. It can be quite secluded and pleasant along here. On top of the cliffs here you can see some of the modern park homes that have been built in what used to be the old West Bay Caravan Park. The fencing along the edge, it never used to be there. Which are very nice inside. We did have a look at some when they were being built. Very modern and very convenient. But when you're there you are very aware how close you are to the cliff edge, which to some people might be a bit worrying. I bet the view from that one is rather nice this morning. When we had our caravan up there, we weren't quite so close to the edge as that, but you used to get wonderful sunsets up there, because the sun would set behind me in the just behind the headland at Minehead. Looking back where we've come from. Some of the pools are still draining out here to the sea. It's a lower level. After all the rain we've been having in the last few weeks, I wondered if I'd be seeing any waterfalls down the cliffs, but haven't seen any. Remember a year or so ago we did a similar exploration video along Blue Anchor, and there were several quite significant waterfalls of water still draining down. There are one or two caves here as well. I do hear the sound of running water here now, so there must be a little stream coming down perhaps in that corner. See it now. Water running down there. Just see it quite high up, actually still running down. Certainly here you can see the alabaster and the seams. It's on the ground as well here. Yeah, the more you look, the more water you can see running down. There's an aircraft quite high up. Probably too small to be picked up by the camera. Yeah, it could be that some of this rock here is fairly recent caving in of the cliffs, because I don't quite remember it fanning out like this before. Could have been a whole section fell out of that area there. There's a few looking back again, just see the lighthouse in the distance. Can we zoom to it? There it is. Huh? I think I would have liked to have been around when those great chunks had fallen out of the cliffs. I think the old paths up the cliff here that the donkeys used to take stone up have long since fallen away. There's no real trace that you can see where they were. I wouldn't mind betting there was somewhere in this area. You got a sudden change in rocks to sand. There is a cliff top walk which we've done in sections, and you can literally walk all the way from Watchet to Minehead along the cliffs if you wanted to. It's not always cliffs, sometimes you're right down to sea level at beaches. But there have been some rather famous rock falls on that path, but you can still get by, I believe. And we're getting closer to the two major caravan parks left now. The sun is now down over the tops of the trees here, but you can make out the interesting strata in the rocks. I'm told the redder sections are actually evidence of it being a desert area where these rocks originated millions of years ago. Certainly evidence there of a rock fall at some time. Could have been a long time ago though. Not heard of anything this year so far. There were some quite serious rock falls over towards Blue Anchor last year. Some of those chunks of rock are really enormous, about the size of a ship. As we approach Warren Farm, the caravans are dipping out of sight because they're relatively high up compared to where we are at beach level. But yeah, no sign of Warren Farm now. Certainly the sunshine looks more obvious over in South Wales. And perhaps Weston-super-Mare. Again, looking at the Welsh coast. Further to the west from that power station, there is another factory or something which occasionally lets off a white plume of smoke. And I think we can see it this morning if I can zoom into it. A little difficult to know what I'm looking at here in the viewfinder. Focus is going in and out as well a bit. Oh no, there we are. See that steam or smoke? Not sure what is the source of that. It's not continuous. One solitary boat. Possibly heading for Watchet Harbour. Little bits of floating wood, because a lot of this has come down the River Severn, which is at the end of Bristol Channel here. A lot of this could have come down from the floods miles away. Just here there's a lot more of a water flow. I think that's originated from the fields above, because I can hear water flowing quite fast, even though I can't see it at this point where it's coming from. If we've got to the point where there's a pathway up to Warren Bay Caravan Park. That's in that little area there. This goes up a slight slope and that's for a valley. But you never know there was a caravan park at all here, or there from here. And I imagine somewhere along here there must be something similar to Warren Farm. But I do know there's a slightly inland path that connects the two. I don't think we're going to really see much more of it. That little valley going up into Warren Bay is now straight behind the sun. You can't see it very clearly because of that. And perhaps over here there's a similar little path up to Warren Farm. The birds just flown into the greenery at the top of the cliffs here. Are they just using it as a lookout point, or do they have a nest up there? There they go again. One of them anyway. I hear stones falling behind me. It's a long way up the top of those cliffs. See the soil just about hanging on. Some trees up there. See from the seaweed here that the sea at high tide, if the tide's high enough, does literally come right to the foot of these cliffs. So if you weren't wise, you could get cut off here. Yeah, the seaweed's right up to the foot of the cliffs. Different kind of patterns in the rock here. Almost as if someone had been along with a white marker and marked it down the cliffs. How many years have these little bits of rock laid there before and they've seen the light of day? They're quite firm anyway, they're not likely to fall out for a while. All sorts of interesting things washed up here. Looks like some floats on a fishing net from somewhere at some time. Water right up to the base of the cliffs. Strata vertical almost there. Something else man-made there. Looks the pebbles. Bits of a football down there. An old metal float from something. Again, stuff washed up by the sea. It's quite shady here. Anyway, going in the wrong direction now, that's where we're headed. Yeah, there's a great chunk of iron ore perhaps there. But that's heavy. Yeah, interesting, but too heavy for me to carry home. And Looks like a lamp cover smashed, and a rusty beer can. Polythene bottles. Right here it looks as if almost as if this is a recent flow of soil falling down from high level. It's quite wet. Alright, we're not alone on the beach now. There are other people walking around. Anyway, onwards. More evidence of water flowing down the cliffs here. Quite a steady stream there. Gets down into the pebbles and disappears from sight, of course. Only to appear much, much further out in the open area. Could that be a waterfall I see there? Let's see if we can see them and see. That might be just a colouring of the rock. You can just hear some pheasants calling in the undergrowth. It could be a path up into Warren Farm, just about there. But I don't think it's worth going off for this rather wet area and across those rocks just to discover it. But if there is an entrance, I'm sure it must be there. I think this is as far as we're going to go on our walk this morning. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me.